The summer heat in Austin, Texas, had a way of bringing people closer together. For me, it all started at the University of Texas campus library, where I spent most of my evenings after classes. I wasn't exactly the kind of guy who partied every night, and I preferred quiet spaces where I could focus on my journalism assignments. That's where I met Rachel Carter, a fellow student majoring in psychology. Rachel had a laugh that could brighten up even the dullest day. She wore her dark brown hair in a ponytail, always tucked behind her glasses when she was buried in books. We bonded quickly over our shared love for late-night coffee and complaining about professors who loaded us with endless papers. Soon, our study sessions turned into long walks around campus and eventually into a deep friendship. But Rachel wasn't the only person who had become part of my life during that time. My childhood friend, Emily Parker, had also moved to Austin for her degree in business management. Emily and I grew up in Dallas and had been inseparable since middle school. She had an adventurous spirit, always dragging me into spontaneous road trips, concerts, and local festivals. Naturally, Rachel and Emily met through me, and the two got along surprisingly well. They were different in many ways. Rachel was calm and methodical, while Emily was spontaneous and outgoing, but maybe that's what made them click. One evening, we decided to have a study group at my apartment. Finals were around the corner, and Rachel suggested it would be better to combine our efforts. Emily was more interested in snacks than textbooks, but she joined in anyway, bringing over a pile of nachos and sodas. We spread our notes across the dining table, but within an hour, the textbooks were forgotten, and we were laughing over stories from our childhoods and college mishaps. Rachel excused herself to grab more pens from her backpack, and that's when Emily leaned toward me with a mischievous grin. "You know," she whispered, "I think Rachel might like you more than just a study buddy." I nearly choked on my soda.
What?
"No, she's just a friend." Emily shrugged. "Maybe, but I've seen the way she looks at you. Don't act so clueless." Before I could respond, Rachel walked back in, and I quickly changed the subject. Still, Emily's words lingered in my mind. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing things I hadn't before: how Rachel lingered a little longer during hugs, how she always asked me to walk her home even though she lived just 2 blocks away, and how she texted me late at night, asking if I was still awake. One Saturday, Emily convinced both of us to go hiking at Barton Creek Greenbelt. The trail was alive with joggers, families, and groups of friends. We carried our backpacks and water bottles, and after 2 hours of climbing, we found a quiet spot by the creek to rest. While Emily dipped her feet in the water, Rachel and I sat under the shade of a tree. She was quiet, tracing patterns in the dirt with a stick. Finally, she said, "I'm glad you brought me here. Sometimes I feel like I've been stuck in my own little bubble, and being with you too reminds me how good it feels to be around people who care." Her voice cracked slightly, and I could tell there was more behind her words. I placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone, Rachel. We've got you." Emily walked over just then, dripping water everywhere, and laughed. "Am I interrupting some deep conversation?" Rachel smiled, wiping her eyes. "Not really. Just appreciating the moment." That day strengthened our bond even more. Weeks turned into months, and the three of us became inseparable. We studied together, went to football games, attended music festivals, and even took a road trip to San Antonio. Everywhere we went, people assumed we'd been lifelong friends. But there was one evening I'll never forget. We were at Emily's apartment, watching a movie marathon. Halfway through, I dozed off on the couch. When I woke up, the TV was still on, and I heard Rachel and Emily whispering in the kitchen. I didn't catch every word, but I heard my name mentioned more than once. When I sat up and called out, both of them froze like they'd been caught sneaking cookies before dinner. Emily laughed nervously, and Rachel blushed so hard her cheeks turned red. "What's going on?" I asked, rubbing my eyes. Emily glanced at Rachel before saying, "Okay, don't freak out. We were just talking about how much we appreciate having you in our lives. Like, seriously, you've kind of become the glue that keeps us together." Rachel nodded quickly.
"Yeah,
"That's exactly it." I smiled, relieved. "You two scared me for a second. Thought I was about to hear something dramatic." Emily chuckled. Well, maybe it is dramatic. Because it's not every day you find friendships like this. And honestly, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Rachel added softly, me neither. From that night on, our bond deepened even further. We trusted each other with secrets, fears, and dreams. Emily confessed her worries about failing her finance classes. Rachel admitted she sometimes felt invisible in big groups, and I shared my insecurities about never being good enough in my writing. We caught each other when we stumbled, encouraged one another when we doubted ourselves, and celebrated every small victory together. One evening at the end of the semester, Rachel surprised us by saying, "You know what? I think this friendship is the best thing that's ever happened to me." Emily raised her soda can. To us, then, the unstoppable trio. I clinked my can against theirs, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. And that's how it was. No matter where life took us, graduations, jobs, relationships, or struggles, we knew we had something unshakable. Rachel, Emily, and I had built a bond strong enough to withstand anything. So yes, maybe Rachel caught us laughing without her once, or maybe Emily caught us studying without inviting her, but instead of drifting apart, she joined in. Always. That's what made it special. We weren't just friends. We were family we chose. And in a world that often feels divided and chaotic, finding people who stick with you through everything, that's the greatest treasure of all.